Well, youth in Kenya, who are the millennials, currently form a huge part of the workforce, while others still remain unemployed, hoping for a job. A new partnership struck by the Youth Enterprise Development Fund has actually put together a report that will help employers in better addressing issues of dynamic and a young workforce.
We have some champagne here. We need champagne. So you're supposed to hand over one to me, so I suppose. Okay, good. Asante sana. Thank you. Continue tower. Asante. Good. No, really, I want us to work.
We were looking at the statistics, looking at the number of millennials in the marketplace looking for work, what influences their decisions to change careers, to join specific organizations. So I think the learnings here are very groundbreaking, particularly for HR practitioners who need to study this report and look at what the numbers are saying.
Millennials in the workplace, they really don't like old school way of being managed. Case in example, they really need to have instant feedback given to them by their line managers or the people that they are working with. Most of the time they are looking into communication and collaboration within the team. It's not a competitive environment, but actually collaboration within the space to be productive.
Well, Shortlist, the online platform connecting African employers to vetted top talent, has closed its $2 million series financing led by Blue Haven Ventures in participation from Aven Akon Venture Capitals, Potentia Ventures and others. Shortlist combines technology and human touch to understand job seekers' skills, attitudes and motivation, fueling better hiring outcomes for employers across East Africa. Shortlist is intending to use the funds to expand outreach to job seekers, improve its algorithmic matching and expand geographically. While companies across Africa consistently rank human capital as a top business challenge and a barrier to growth. A single job posting can draw thousands of applications, and employers are stuck relying on CVs alone to make critical hiring decisions. Well, I'm now joined by the Business Development Manager at Shortlist. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's an interesting time where many employers don't have much time to go through CVs. I remember back in our time when we were joining the job market, a CV was a very important tool for you to sell who you are. I don't know, what is the current state of affairs?
The CV is still what we have. Unfortunately, we would like to move to a place where we are not necessarily using the CV. We are trying to change that in the marketplace, but I don't know whether you're aware that the CV has actually been around for 500 years. So, you know, there's definitely a need to see how do we make it into better than that. Yes.
All right. So looking at what you guys work on, of course, matching talent to get employers to get the very best.
Yes.
What is, in your assessment, where are we as a country? Do we have a workforce that is alive to these realities?
Yes, we probably have a workforce that is alive to that reality. And what you see is we always get fascinated by, there's so many job postings on a daily basis, but there's also so many people looking for jobs. There's definitely a mismatch between what people are looking for and what is out there. And our goal is to try and say, how do we change that by making sure that we're actually matching all the opportunities that are available to candidates who are actually looking? Because we believe the mismatch isn't just that opportunity to be able to fit into the right profile, because all we use is a CV. So we're actually judging you by your ability to sometimes write a CV, and not actually by your ability to whether you can do the job or not. And that's what we're trying to change in the market.
All right.
Yes.
So what defines a good CV?
What defines a good CV? Ideally, a good CV should be able to speak to the job you're applying to. But you can imagine that means that you'd probably have to tailor it for each and every single application. And so we're trying to say, instead of having to tailor that, is it possible to sort of encourage employers to go online so that you're tailoring a job and trying to get applicants to apply through that instead of relying on a CV that is probably not tailored towards exactly the job that you're looking for.
All right.
Yes.
And how have you influenced how companies make hiring decisions?
We have influenced it in a way that, so for example, sometimes you need, and you rightfully said that there are so many opportunities with the internet. I know a client of mine who probably receives 40,000 applications for a job. There's no way they're going to go through 40,000.
And you're supposed
CVs.
to shortlist.
Yes. I can imagine it's like when we used to be told in uni, you throw them down the stairs and then you sort of rank from that.
Yeah.
The reality is chances are they don't have time to do that. So we are trying to encourage more automation of the process, also data, to get more actionable data. And I think for us, very close to our hearts is just the candidate experience. At the moment, the experience is what we call a CV black hole. You apply, you wish for the best. How do we make it that technology can help you also give almost instant feedback to candidates so that even as they're applying, they know, I'm going to get a response from it. And with 40,000 applications, chances are you're not going to be able to have time to do that. So how do you help and get technology to help you with that? Yes.
So what has been the power that technology has given to companies in terms of recruitment?
Immense. We did a research where we found that, and this is from an SME perspective, that they are spending about a week reviewing one role. And this is a hiring manager and a human resource manager. Ideally, if you're spending a week for one role and you're recruiting maybe 2 or 3, you can imagine how much time is going into that from a hiring manager perspective, but also from just a human resource perspective.
Sure.
We are trying to make sure that the time you spend more time assessing and interviewing for culture fit, for the really, really critical roles, and let technology do the more manual, the data-oriented bit of it. Another space is let technology help you bring back the human into human resources by making sure that the candidates are receiving data, are receiving a lot of feedback in the experience, and they're enjoying application. I don't know how many of us actually enjoy our current application of jobs in Kenya.
All right.
Yes.
So Doris, what does the future hold when it comes to how how players like Shortlist are revolutionizing how we do our traditional recruitment?
I hope that the future lets there be less bias, because as I said, we are actually almost reviewing people by their ability to write CVs and not actually by their skills and demonstrable skills that they can do. The future is where I foresee a recruitment being automated so that HR professionals and hiring managers spend more time in the really, really important, which is the interviews and onboarding of the applicants. The future also is more about data. We need more data into the recruitment process. So it's still very intuitive. We sort of use our gut to a certain extent, and technology has helped us get a lot of actionable data that probably we are hoping that in the future more employers embrace that. Yes.
And how does technology bring about transparency and democracy when it comes to recruitment?
That's a really good point, because technology does bring about transparency. I'll give an example of our Shortlist platform. From that, you can be able, as an employer, you can actually be able to see how many candidates applied all the way to the end. We can even go a step further, which is even if you want to, for example, make sure that you have a diverse pool of candidates, we can put it in a way that you don't necessarily see things that might bias you. So, for example, if you're thinking, I don't want gender to be revealed, so that I'm able to really, really just have a completely bias-free recruitment process, we can make that happen.
All right.
Yes.
Interesting. And Valerie, of course, if you're to look at some of the countries we can benchmark with, for instance, I'm sure the likes of UAE, South Africa, they have very advanced systems.
I think we are starting. There's definitely a lot of improvements. I have been fortunate enough to work within human resources, for example, the UAE, and even then, that's almost 10 years ago, there was, if I compare where we are now to there's definitely advancement in terms of what we're getting. Are we there yet? Probably not. But we are hoping with companies like Shortlist to just change that mindset and get us more into using technology to really, really power recruitment.
All right. That's a good place to end the conversation.